I got into a car accident, broke my leg, and ended up with a concussion. When I woke up, Elijah Hayes, my boyfriend's arch-nemesis, was sitting by my bed yelling at me, "Killing yourself over a man? Even if your mom doesn't look down on you, I do." Annoyed, I glared at him. "Who are you?" Elijah frowned, staring at me suspiciously for a long moment. "I'm your fiancé." My mom Elizabeth and Elijah's mom Charlotte both thought it lost my memory. They sat side by the hospital bed, taking turns telling me about my supposed relationship with Elijah. "You used to chase him around yelling hubby hubby when you were still in diapers. You rode the same car to and from school every day from kindergarten to high school. You started dating officially in college. After graduation, you both went back to work at your family companies. You love each other deeply, with an unbreakable bond." I listened with a twitching mouth, then cut them off. "Then why would I kill myself over another man?" They both froze. Mrs. Hayes recovered quickly, turning into a total drama queen and sniffing softly. "It's all Elijah's fault. I told him not to go drinking with his secretary, but he insisted." I looked at her. "Did he cheat on me with his secretary?" She froze again, shaking her head rapidly. "No, never." My mom also turned into a drama queen, dabbing at her dry eyes. "He just went drinking with his secretary. And you got jealous. Elijah's secretary was a man. What the hell would I even be jealous of?" I held back a laugh. "So I tried to kill myself just because I was jealous?" My mom squeezed my hand. "Emma, don't ever do something stupid like that again. You scared me half to death." Mrs. Hayes squeezed my other hand. "Emma, you have to marry Elijah as soon as possible. I promise. If he ever goes drinking with his secretary again, it'll break his third leg." Drinking really didn't warrant breaking someone's third leg. I lifted my eyes to look at Elijah. Had been standing silently behind them this whole time. He claimed to be my fiancé. "Fine. If he wanted to mess with me, it'd mess right back. Will you marry me?" I asked. Elijah's dark eyes locked onto mine, a gaze so intense it felt like it could pull me in. "If you're willing, I am." My heart did a little flip. The two moms weren't making everything up. The Miller and Hayes families were old family friends. Elijah and I were born in the same year, same month, just 3 days apart, from the moment our genders were known. Both families had raised us as a destined couple. We went to the same schools from kindergarten to college, and our parents even used their influence to put us in the same classes every year. It wasn't until college, when we majored in different subjects, that we finally had separate classes. Elijah and I knew each other too well. I knew exactly how many hairs were on his legs. Maybe that was why I'd never felt that spark of romantic love for him. In college, I met Liam Carter, a gentle and refined young man who made my heart flutter for the first time. Liam and Elijah hated each other. They were arch nemesis. I was the one who pursued Liam. He didn't reject me when I confessed, and we had a sweet relationship. When my parents saw I had no feelings for Elijah, they tried to talk me out of it but eventually gave in when I refused to listen. It was only after we started dating that I found out Liam had the one that got away, his first love. I told him I didn't mind, that it was all in the past. Elijah called me a love-obsessed fool and hated Liam even more. I'd been wanting to get married for a long time, but Liam always hesitated. Then one day, he suddenly proposed to me. I later found out that the day he proposed was the exact same day his first love married another man in the US. The day before our engagement party, he got a phone call from her. She was crying on the other end, saying her husband had beaten her. Liam hung up the phone and told me he was flying to the US to bring her back. I stared at him coldly. "What do you mean, bring her back? Are you going to kidnap someone else's wife?" Liam frowned in annoyance. "Haven't you seen all those wife murder cases online? Scarlett's all alone in the US. How helpless do you think she is getting beaten by her husband? Can't she call her family? Can't she call the police?" I retorted. "Emma, don't be so aggressive," he said angrily. "I'll still marry you when I get back. You are the only one I want as my wife." I looked at him calmly. "Our engagement party is tomorrow." He pulled me into his arms. Well, postpone it. I'll pick a new date once I bring Scarlett back. I pushed him away. If you go after her, we're done. Liam ended up flying to the US anyway. I drove home after breaking up with him, and that's when the accident happened. Both families thought I'd tried to kill myself over Liam. My annoyed question to Elijah when I woke up had been misinterpreted as amnesia. A doctor came in to check on me. Once my mom and Mrs. Hayes confirmed I was out of danger, they bailed immediately. They said they'd leave Elijah to take care of me and help me get my memory back. As soon as they left, the luxury VIP ward was just me and Elijah. He stood by the bed, looking down at me. My left leg was in a cast, and my head was wrapped in bandages. I didn't need a mirror to know how terrible I looked. I licked my dry lips. I want some water. Elijah poured me a glass and fed it to me. After drinking, my appetite came back. I said I wanted rice porridge, and he made it himself. I said I wanted soup, and he cooked it himself. Watching him busy in the small kitchen of the VIP ward brought back memories of our childhood. Elijah was the heir to the Hayes family fortune, but he wasn't the kind of spoiled rich kid who couldn't do anything for himself. He was handsome, smart, and an amazing cook. In elementary school, I loved the noodles he made. In middle school, I loved his slow-braised pork belly. After college, I never ate his cooking again. Once I started dating Liam, he either ignored me or yelled at me. His eyes grew colder and colder whenever he looked at me. I stared at Elijah. Right now, I was supposed to be a woman with no memory. I decided to tease this stiff man. Are we really deeply in love? Elijah turned around to look at me. You have a mole on the sole of your foot, and 2 small keloid scars on your back. His dark eyes drifted lower, his voice dropping to a seductive murmur. And you have a red mole just below your right breast. Now tell me, does that sound like we're not deeply in love? My cheeks flushed bright red. The mole on my foot and the scars on my back were one thing. But how the hell did he know about the red mole on my chest? It only discovered it when I was 18, and it was in such a hidden place that no one could see it when I was wearing underwear. I gritted my teeth secretly. Elijah must have peeked at me in the shower. I glared at him. Who confessed first, you or me? Elijah smiled slightly. I did. When? I asked. He really was treating me like someone with amnesia. After the SAT exams, I gave you a card. I froze. I remembered that day. We'd walked out of the exam hall together, and Elijah had pulled me under a poplar tree. How do you think you did? H asked. Pretty good. It replied cheerfully. H handed me a card. For you? It was a photo of my favorite piano maestro performing on stage. He knew the man was my idol, but a week before the exams, my idol had been involved in a huge scandal. Just holding the card made me feel dirty. I started looking for a trash can to throw it away. Don't you like it? Elijah's voice came from above me. I nodded. No, I don't. His voice changed slightly. Aren't you going to look at what's written on the back? Oh. There was writing on the back. I flipped the card over. It was written in elegant, bold calligraphy with a fountain pen. There is a beautiful woman, whom I cannot forget. 1 day without seeing her is like 3 months apart. When I read those lines, my first thought was, that's from the classic Chinese love poem Ode to the Phoenix. Elijah's voice came again. Still don't like it? The piano maestro scandal had been so bad that liking him now would make me a fool. I don't like it, I said, and threw the card away. Looking back now, I realized how dark and hurt Elijah's face had been that day. H been confessing his love to me, and it thrown his confession card right in front of him. That was blatant humiliation. No wonder H run out of the country right after the exams and only came back on the first day of college. No wonder H's been cold and distant ever since. I pouted slightly. I didn't know. If I'd known he was confessing, I never would have said I didn't like it. Why couldn't he just say it out loud like a normal person? Elijah shook his head. You have amnesia. It's normal that you don't remember a lot of things. I'll stay with you from now on, and I'll tell you anything you want to hear. I stayed in the hospital for half a month. During that time, Elijah did everything for me personally. Except for helping me use the bathroom and shower, those were handled by a female nurse. It suddenly hit me that Elijah would make an amazing husband. He was handsome, rich, and incredibly gentle and attentive when he cared about someone. After my cast was removed, Elijah stayed with me for 2 days of physical therapy before discharging me from the hospital. He carried me out, his assistant pushing a wheelchair with our bags. Just as we stepped outside the hospital, we saw Liam. He was with a woman with long waist-length hair, wearing a pink slip dress. She had a stunning figure, fair skin, and seductive almond eyes. No wonder Liam had been obsessed with her for so long. I looked away indifferently. Right now, I was supposed to have amnesia. I didn't know them. I snuggled deeper into Elijah's chest like a happy little woman. When Elijah saw Liam, he immediately looked down at me. When he saw me glance at Liam briefly and then look away without a care, a small smile tugged at his lips, and he tightened his arms around me. Elijah? Give Emma to me, Liam said, striding over and reaching out his hand. Elijah turned sideways, and I quickly wrapped my arms around his neck, staring at Liam warily. Liam looked confused by my reaction. I looked up at Elijah, equally confused. Who is he? Elijah pulled his gaze away from me, his eyes cold and challenging as he looked at Liam. No one important. You don't need to remember him. Liam stared at me in shock. Emma, you don't remember me? H rushed to the hospital as soon as he got back to the country and heard about my accident, only to find that I'd forgotten him completely. I nodded. Yeah, the doctor said I hit my head and lost my memory. I glanced between him and the woman beside him. I don't remember either of you. Liam didn't believe me. He pointed at Elijah. Then do you remember him? I blinked. My parents and his parents say he's my fiancé. Liam swayed on his feet. Scarlett Johnson quickly supported him, smiling sweetly at me. Actually, we weren't very close, but I truly hope he recovers soon. My husband and I just came to the hospital for a checkup. We won't bother you anymore. With that, she pulled Liam into the hospital. Liam didn't correct her, whether he was too shocked or just didn't care. A faint ache tugged at my heart. Elijah carried me to the car and set me in the back seat before getting in himself. His assistant put the wheelchair in the trunk and got into the driver's seat. Elijah took my hand, his thumb brushing gently over my palm, sending a tingle up my arm. Our parents are waiting for us at home for dinner. I smiled at him. Okay. Both families lived in Hawthorne Gold Estate. Elijah carried me into the house, and my dad, James Miller, laughed. We knew Elijah would take good care of you. Elijah's parents also smiled and told him to carry me into the dining room. The two families had a lovely dinner together. The table was filled with all my favorite dishes. The warm, joyful family atmosphere felt like it had been missing for years. Ever since I started dating Liam, the two families had rarely sat down to eat together like this. I remembered the day Liam had agreed to be my boyfriend. I'd run home excitedly to tell my family the good news. Elijah and his parents had been there too. My parents had flown into a rage and ordered me to break up with him. I'd been so happy to share my news, only to be told to end it. I'd been heartbroken and stubborn, telling them I'd never break up with him. My dad had called me willful, saying I was already Elijah's girlfriend and how could I cheat on him. I'd been stunned. We'd grown up together, but we'd never actually dated. When had I become Elijah's girlfriend? I'd cried and said, I don't like Elijah. I only love Liam. My mom had called me a cheater, and my dad had refused to speak to me. Elijah's parents had sat silently, the atmosphere tense and awkward. Then Elijah had looked at me calmly and said, I already have someone I love. The tense atmosphere had shifted instantly, and suddenly it was Elijah's parents yelling at him for being unfaithful. Here, your favorite, Elijah said, putting food on my plate. I snapped back to reality and looked at him. When H said I already have someone I love back then, H been talking about me, hadn't he? After dinner, both parents told us to go home and rest. I was confused. This was my home. Where else would I go? Seeing my confused face, Mrs. Hayes smiled. You and Elijah are engaged. Your marital home is a Mountain Ridge villa. Marital home. When was it prepared? I asked. Had they gotten it ready while I was in the hospital? Mrs. Hayes smiled. Elijah prepared it the year you turned 18. My breath caught. Had Elijah thought of me as his wife since we were kids? I was curious to see what the house aged prepared looked like. So I nodded and agreed to go home with Elijah to our new place. Elijah had clearly put a lot of thought into the villa. Both the exterior and interior were decorated exactly to my tastes. The front yard was filled with my favorite daffodils and poplar trees. The walls inside were painted my favorite shade of light blue. I looked around the living room, my heart racing again. This is really our house? Elijah carried me up the stairs. Yes, if you don't like it, I can have it redone for you. I like it, I said. When we got to the master bedroom on the second floor, I was even more shocked. There was a huge walk-in closet filled with all kinds of designer women's clothes. Every single piece was something I would wear. I stared at Elijah in surprise. All of these are mine. Elijah chuckled softly, his voice warm. You love looking pretty. So H's been buying me clothes and bags all these years? Some of the styles were from years ago. H's been preparing for this for so long. Elijah set me down on the bed, walked to the closet, and pulled out a set of women's pajamas and underwear. He knelt in front of me, looking up. Let me help you shower. My face turned bright red. I shook my head. No, I can do it myself. Elijah laughed quietly. Are you shy? I wanted to curse him out. I wasn't actually amnesiac. How could I not be shy? Elijah stood up and gently pinched my cheek. I'll go run the bath for you. As soon as Elijah walked into the bathroom, my phone rang. It was a text from Liam. I opened it, and it was a message from Scarlett. I gave Liam my first time, and he gave me his. Even when you were together, he was still in love with me. When my ex-husband beat me, he dropped everything to fly to the US to save me. We spent every night together there. He helped me get divorced and brought me back. He said he'll take care of me and love me for the rest of his life. You were always going to lose. I closed the app silently, gripping my phone tightly until my knuckles turned white, then loosened my grip. Elijah came out of the bathroom, took my phone from my hand, and set it on the nightstand. Go take your shower. I looked up at him. I can do it myself. The bathroom floor is slippery. What if you fall and hurt your leg or get another concussion? He said, after a pause. He stared at me intensely. Do you not like me? My heart did a little flip. Aren't you my fiancé? Why wouldn't I like you? I want to hear you say it. Do you like me? You've been so good to me while I was in the hospital. I do like you, I said. Elijah smiled, his dark eyes lighting up with joy. He picked me up immediately. Then I'll show you just how much better I can be. Once we were in the bathroom, Elijah undressed me and lowered me into the bathtub. I was blushing so hard my face felt like it was on fire. Elijah stood beside the tub and started taking off his own clothes. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. He hadn't even touched me yet, and I was already gasping for air. What are you doing? I stammered. You always said you loved my body, he said, and a moment later he was standing naked in front of me. He had an incredible body, broad shoulders, narrow waist, long legs, and perfectly defined muscles everywhere. I swallowed hard. Elijah was lying. It never said anything about loving his body, but I couldn't deny that he looked amazing. He stepped into the bathtub. My leg still wasn't fully healed, and I tried to get up, but he pulled me into his arms. This was the first time we'd ever been completely naked together. My heart felt like it was going to burst out of my chest. Elijah held me tight and kissed me. He wasn't going to let me go this time. All that nonsense about if you love someone, set them free was bullshit. He nipped my earlobe, his voice rough and gravelly. Emma, you belong to me, only me. I melted into his kiss, my mind going hazy. A thought crossed my mind. When I was dating Liam, we'd booked hotel rooms several times, but something always went wrong. Either my mom would have a fake heart attack, Or Scarlett would call Liam crying about being beaten, or the hotel would lose power once. There was even a snake in the bathroom. Now I suspected it was all Elijah's doing. H never wanted me to sleep with Liam. The thought sent a shiver down my spine. So all that time H'd been acting cold and distant. H'd actually been watching my every move. The next morning, bright sunlight streamed through the curtains. I woke up sore all over and struggled to sit up. It just finished washing up when I got another text from Liam. It was a photo of him and Scarlett in bed together. I didn't even have to think to know it was Scarlett had sent it from Liam's phone, strangely enough. The text the day before had made me feel a little sad, but seeing this photo now, I felt nothing at all. Instead, when I glanced at the light blue sheets and saw the faint red stains on them, my heart did a little flip, thinking about everything that had happened last night. A warm feeling spread through my chest. Liam and Scarlett belonged together. Elijah and I belonged together. It was perfect. I went downstairs to find Elijah in the kitchen, making breakfast, looking bright and energetic in his pajamas. When he heard my footsteps, he immediately put down the spatula, turned around, and picked me up. "Why are you up so early?" "I can walk now. You don't have to carry me," I said, my cheeks still pink. "I like carrying you," he said, setting me down at the dining table and handing me a bowl of luxurious bird's nest rice porridge. Then he stared at my flushed cheeks and smiled seductively. Did I do a good job last night? My face burned even hotter. I avoided his intense gaze and stared down at my porridge. It was okay. H'd been gentle, but also relentless. H kept me up all night. Elijah laughed. A clear, warm sound. I'll keep trying to do better. Elijah and I spent the next few days in a romantic bubble at the villa. Liam kept calling me, but I never answered. On the 7th day, he showed up at the house. Elijah and I were sunbathing in the garden. I was lying on a bamboo chair, eating grapes that Elijah had peeled for me. Elijah was trimming the flowers, saying that when we were old, he wanted to spend the rest of our days like this, quiet and peaceful. Suddenly, the front gate started banging loudly, and we heard Liam yelling my name. Elijah looked at me, and I stared back at him with a blank, confused expression. "Who's calling me?" "I'll go see," Elijah said, grabbing the pruning shears and walking to the gate. Liam saw me immediately and tried to rush in, but Elijah blocked him. "What do you want?" Liam glanced at the shears in Elijah's hand and hesitated slightly. He looked at me desperately. "Emma, I had no idea you'd been in an accident when I was in the US. Emma, I love you. Scarlett and I are just friends." I stood up from the chair and walked over. Elijah immediately grabbed my hand, and I saw a flash of panic in his eyes. He was afraid I'd get my memory back when I saw Liam. Wasn't he? I smiled sweetly up at him. "Isn't that the man we saw at the hospital? Did I know him before?" Liam's face twisted in pain. "Emma, I'm your fiancé. We were supposed to." I cut him off abruptly. "My fiancé is Elijah." I pulled out my phone, opened Liam's chat, and showed him the photo Scarlett had sent. "You already have a wife. How could you be my fiancé?" Liam's face turned pale when he saw the photo. He looked panicked and guilty. "That's not what it looks like." I was drunk. I smiled brightly. "Whether you were drunk or not doesn't matter to me." Elijah ruffled my hair gently, his voice warm and loving. "Go back inside. Emma, I'll handle this." I yawned. "Okay." I turned and walked into the villa, stopping at the entrance to watch the two men outside. As soon as I was gone, Liam dropped the act. He glared at Elijah viciously. "You're taking advantage of her amnesia." Elijah twirled the shears in his hand, his voice mocking. "Emma's not the kind of girl who holds onto the past. You didn't cherish her, so you don't deserve her." I did cherish her. Scarlett was being beaten in the US. I was saving her from a terrible situation. "Oh, so you think you're some kind of hero?" Liam fell silent. Elijah laughed coldly. "You saved her so well that you ended up in her bed?" I was drunk. "You can lie to Emma, but you can't lie to me," Elijah said, his eyes sharp and cold. "Were you drunk every single night in the US too?" Liam's face turned even paler. He glared at Elijah angrily. You investigated me? I love Emma, Elijah said simply. Cutting through the bullshit, I let her date you because I thought she was happy with you. But now I don't, and you will never bother her again. Liam clenched his fists, his eyes red with rage. She only believes you because she has amnesia. When she gets her memory back, she'll hate you. She'll come back to me. No, she won't, Elijah said confidently, a cold smile on his face. Even if she gets her memory back, when she finds out what you did with Scarlett, she'll dump you faster than you can blink. He leaned in slightly and whispered, Emma loves my body now, and my body is pure, yours is dirty. Liam clenched his fists even tighter. I dated Emma for years and never touched her, and that's because you're impotent. Screw you, Liam roared, raising his fist. But before he could throw the punch, Elijah doubled over, clutching his stomach and staggering backward. Liam stared at him in confusion, completely bewildered by Elijah's dramatic performance, before he could react. I ran out of the house and glared at him angrily. You hit my husband? Liam tried to explain, but when he saw me supporting Elijah, who was leaning against me and putting on a fake innocent act, he looked like he was about to explode. Emma, it's my fault. I said something that upset him. He punched me in the stomach. But it doesn't hurt really. It doesn't, Elijah said weakly. Elijah, I never hit you. Liam yelled. I saw it. I said coldly. Liam stared at me, heartbroken. You don't believe me? I don't even know who you are. Why would I believe you? I said. I helped Elijah back inside, locked the gate, and glared at Liam one last time. Let's go. We don't need to waste time on rabid dogs like him. Once we were back inside, Elijah dropped the act and pulled me into his arms, kissing me deeply until we both fell onto the couch. Afterwards, Elijah buried his face in my chest. Emma, marry me. Our parents were over the moon when they heard we were getting married. They immediately started picking out a lucky wedding date. Elijah spent the next few days busy with wedding preparations. I also went back to work at my family's company. One day, Liam showed up at my office. He stared at me with red, bloodshot eyes. You're really going to marry Elijah? I looked at him calmly. Elijah and I love each other. Isn't marriage the natural next step? We're the ones who love each other, he shouted. He handed me an envelope. These are all photos from when we were dating. Look at them. Maybe they'll help you get your memory back. I took the envelope and threw it straight into the trash can. I looked him straight in the eye. No need. I never had amnesia in the first place. Liam froze. What did you say? I smiled softly. Thank you for leaving me the day before our engagement to fly to the US for your first love. It made me see who you really are, and it made me realize what I truly want. Elijah and I grew up together. Both our families raised us to be husband and wife. He's loved me and taken care of me my whole life, and I was stupid enough to fall for a hypocrite like you. Luckily, I found my way back, and Elijah was still waiting for me. For the rest of my life, I only want to be with Elijah. Now go back and sleep with your Scarlett. Tears filled Liam's eyes. He begged me. Emma, I'm sorry. Please give me another chance. I'll love you properly from now on. Didn't I give you a chance? I snapped. What did I say to you when you decided to go after Scarlett? It was an emergency. How much of an emergency was it? If you can't cut Scarlett out of your life completely, then leave me alone. I smiled coldly. Can you cut her out completely? Liam hesitated. Don't bother answering. I'll do it for you. You can't. Half an hour ago, Scarlett came to see me. She's pregnant with your baby. Congratulations. You're going to be a father. Scarlett had been terrified that I'd get my memory back and steal Liam from her. As soon as she got her pregnancy test result, she'd run straight to tell me the good news. From the shocked look on Liam's face, I could tell she hadn't told him yet. Liam clenched his fists, struggling to control his emotions. He stared at me for a long moment with red eyes, then turned and walked away. As soon as he stepped out of my office, I heard a scream. I ran outside to see what had happened. Liam was on the ground, clutching his eye. Elijah was standing over him, his voice cold and threatening. "If you ever bother Emma again, I'll destroy you and the entire Carter group." When he saw me, his face immediately softened, and he walked over to me looking pitiful. "Wife, my hand hurts." I took his hand and glanced coldly at Liam on the ground. "Next time, just send the bodyguards. Don't do it yourself, wife. Kiss it better," Elijah said, blinking at me cutely. This man was absolutely deadly when he was being cute. I brought his hand to my lips and kissed it gently. He wrapped his arms around me and pulled me back into the office, closing the door behind us. He pushed me against the door and kissed me deeply, passionately. When he finally pulled away, I was breathless. He smiled seductively. "That's your punishment for wandering away from me." I looked up at him, my heart aching for all the pain I'd endured. It must have been terrible, watching me date Liam all those years. Every time I saw you with him, it felt like my heart was being ripped out, Elijah said. He took my hand and pressed it to his chest. "Right here. You hurt me so badly." I stroked his chest gently. "I'll never hurt you again. We were destined to be together from the moment we were born." I wandered away once and broke his heart, but now I've found my way back home, and I'll never leave again. I want to spend the rest of my life with Elijah, hand in hand. Hey there, could you rate this story in the comments? Use a scale of 1 to 10. Please, I'm begging you. It really means a lot to me. And if you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit follow.